Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to the chemistry class. Today I shall discuss a part of the organic chemistry of your class 11 science that was left. Okay. So this is the analysis of organic compounds. We have already discussed whatever syllabus is there in organic chemistry up to the aromatic hydrocarbons, and now we will start the analysis of organic compounds. Here we will discuss the detection of element. Okay. Generally two type of analysis is there. One is called qualitative analysis, another is called quantitative analysis. So here first we will discuss the qualitative analysis, then we will go for quantitative analysis. Okay. First we will discuss what type of elements are present in organic compounds. Generally the main elements generally present in organic compound is carbon, hydrogen, okay, and other elements may also be present like nitrogen, chlorine, phosphorus, okay, bromine, iodine, etc. And in few cases there may be also metal atoms also, metal may be present, like in hemoglobin there is iron, chlorophyll there is magnesium, okay, like this. And there are some organometallic reagents also, okay. Now first we will discuss the detection of carbon, okay, as well as hydrogen also, okay. So organic compound is mixed with about 3 times of its weight with dry copper 2 oxide, that is CO, and the mixture is heated in a hard glass test tube, and it is fitted with a delivery tube having a bulb, okay, in the middle containing anhydrous copper sulfate, okay. And on heating the mixture, the carbon and hydrogen present in the organic compound get oxidized to carbon dioxide and water. So what is the reaction? So carbon will first react with the cupric oxide, and there will be formation of carbon dioxide and copper. So in this way carbon dioxide will form. Now this is not balanced, you have to balance. If you put 2 here, here also you have to put 2. And in organic compound there will be also hydrogen. That hydrogen will also react with this CO and forming H2O plus Cu. So here it is also not balanced, so you have to balance this equation. You put 2 here, now I think it is balanced. So what will be the overall reaction when carbon hydrogen present in an organic compound? So C plus 2H plus thrice CO forming CO2 plus H2O plus thrice CO. This is the overall reaction, okay, when in an organic compound both carbon hydrogen present, okay. So here we are getting that water is formed, okay, and if you take the anhydrous copper sulfate, that will be white in color. When you pass this water vapor, it will become blue, okay. So in this way you can easily understand there is hydrogen in the organic sample, okay. And another case that the carbon, okay, here carbon is combining with oxygen forming carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide form this reaction you can pass through the lime water. When the lime water turns milky, okay, and if you pass it for a long time, then again it will become colorless. So from there you can easily understand, or it will indicate the presence of carbon present in the organic compound. So both carbon and hydrogen presence you can detect in this way, okay. Next we will discuss the detection of nitrogen. The given organic compound, okay, that means you have to take one part and you have to take the soda lime 2 parts, and this mixture you have to apply heat, and evolution of ammonia gas indicates that there is a nitrogen, okay, and nitro diazo derivatives do not respond to this test. So what is happening here? Suppose in your compound there is nitrogen, like amide is there, and you are heating this amide with the soda lime, that means calcium oxide and sodium hydroxide mixture 1:1. Then what will happen? This will convert into carboxylic acid salt, and there will be formation of ammonia gas, okay. So by detection of ammonia gas, okay, you can pass through Nessler reagent that will turn bound. You can easily understand that your compound containing nitrogen. Another very good test is there, that is generally we have done, okay, or we generally do in the honors level, that chemistry honors level syllabus, that is Lagine test, okay. Lagine test. So what we are doing here, a very small piece of sodium you have to take in a fused tube, okay, and a pinch of sample, organic sample you have to add it to this sodium metal, okay. First what you have to do, you have to heat this sodium metal and you will get a that silvery appearance, a gold one round shaped, okay, liquid of sodium metal will be formed. Then you have to add this sample, and then this fusion tube will be heated, okay, first slowly, then very strongly, at least minimum for 5 to 10 minutes, okay. Then this red hot tube is broken, okay, inside distilled water taken in a china dish, and you have to pestle everything, okay, or mixed it very proper way, okay, in that particular distilled water, okay. And then this extract, that means sodium and organic compound fused mixture, okay, that will be dissolved, okay, in this water, because all sodium salts are water soluble, okay, and then you have to filter it, and the filtrate is called the sodium extract. So one part of the sodium extract is made alkaline by adding a few drops of sodium hydroxide, and the alkaline sodium extract is boiled with freshly prepared of ferrous sulfate solution. Then you have to cool and then acidify with dilute sulfuric acid. Then ferric chloride is added, okay, and you will get a Prussian blue or green coloration that confirms the presence of nitrogen. Now what is happening in organic compound? Definitely there is carbon and nitrogen is there. We are going to detect nitrogen. So definitely it will form, when you are fusing, it will form sodium cyanide. Now you are adding that ferrous sulfate and NaOH. So ferrous sulfate will react with this NaOH, forming ferrous hydroxide, plus there will be formation of Na2SO4. Okay. Next what will happen, this sodium cyanide, will react with this ferrous hydroxide. So NaCN will react with this ferrous hydroxide. Then there will be formation of sodium ferrocyanide, Na4 FeCnl whole 6, plus there will be formation of NaOH. Now you have to balance this. Here 6 cyanide is there, so you have to put 6 here, and here already 2 sodium taken and 2 NaOH. Okay. Now I think it is balanced. Okay. And this Na4 FeCnl whole 6 again will react with this ferric chloride. That will form Fe4 FeCnl whole 6 whole 3. That is called ferric ferrocyanide. Okay. And that will give you the Prussian blue coloration. Here also you can get some color, okay, and this Prussian blue color or maybe green color, okay, indicates that the presence of nitrogen. So you can understand what I am telling. So here what is happening, that this Na4 FeCnl whole 6, that will react with this ferric chloride, and it will form Fe4 FeCnl whole 6 3. Okay, this is called ferric ferrocyanide, and there will be formation of NaCl. Now you have to balance this equation. Okay, here you have to put, you put 3 here, then you have to put 12 here, and how many ions are there here? 3. Already here 3 is there, and 4. So you have to put 4 here. Okay. and this compound, again I am telling, it is called ferric ferrocyanide, and its color is Prussian blue or green color. Okay, so this is Prussian blue. So from that color you can confirm the presence of nitrogen. Okay. Next, sulfuric acid is added to dissolve this green precipitate. If green precipitate is coming, ferrous hydroxide, okay, that will form ferrous sulfate and water. And if nitrogen sulfur both are present, okay, you can think about the thiourea. So blood red coloration will produce, because NaCN and sulfur will be also there, so that will form NaSCl. And you know that if you add some ferric chloride to this sodium thiocyanate, you will get blood red coloration. So formation of NaSCN can be avoided by using excess sodium. And this test, okay, tells in case of this test fails, okay, in case of diazo compounds, okay. Diazo compound is very much unstable, okay. Definitely there will be liberation of nitrogen very easily, and that is why you will not get that sodium cyanide, okay. And sometimes when the amount of nitrogen present in small, Prussian blue color may be also very light color may come in the colloidal form, okay, and then that is why the solutions may look green. And the alkali solution is acidified with HCl, okay, a yellow ferric chloride solution you will get, okay, or blue coloration may appear. And here we are not using lithium potassium, we are using only sodium, okay. Why you are using sodium? Because lithium reacts very slowly, and if you take potassium, okay, it will react vigorously. So you cannot be controlled, okay, in case of potassium properly. And moreover, the lithium compounds are generally covalent in nature. That is why we have taken only sodium, okay. In Lagian test we are taking sodium for this detection of nitrogen. And Lagian test will be used for other element also, like sulfur, like halogens, okay. Same test you have to use. Same thing we have to do. So for detection of sulfur, the same Lagian test you have to do, okay. You have to take that sodium and organic compound, then you have to fuse it, then you have to make it red hot, okay. That means you have to heat it strongly, okay. Then you have to break this fusion tube inside water taken in a China container, okay, China dish, okay. Then you have to pestle with a mortar, okay. Then you have to take this water extract, and this water extract will be filtered, okay. And this filtrate is called the sodium extract, and in this sodium extract you have to add acetic acid and lead acetate, okay. And whenever you will do this thing, you will get a black precipitate of lead sulfide. So from here you can easily confirm that sulfur is present in your organic sample. So what is happening? First, sodium is reacting with sulfur, that is forming Na2S, sodium sulfide, and this sodium sulfide is reacting with lead acetate, EPOSE whole twice, that you can write, okay. Now what will happen? You will get the lead sulfide and you will get CH3COON, and lead sulfide will be a black PBT, silvery black PBT, okay. And sulfuric acid is not used here. We are using what? Here we are using acetic acid, okay. Because sulfuric acid will form lead sulfate. Lead sulfate we know that is insoluble, okay. So you will get a white precipitate instead of this PBS, okay. Next, that second part of the extract, that means that sodium extract is treated with sodium nitroposide solution. So whenever you will add that Na2S and sodium nitroposide solution, then you will get a purple color, okay. And in this way also you can detect the presence of sulfur. So what is happening? That sodium sulfide is reacting with sodium nitroposide, that is Na2 FeCnl whole 5 NO, okay. This is sodium nitroposide. Then from here you will get a violet color. Violet color complex will be Na4 FeCnl whole 5 NOS. Okay, and this compound is purple color or violet color. Hope you can understand. Okay, and this is called sodium pentacyano nitrosyl sulfide. Okay, and nitrosyl sulfide ferret 3. So in this way, by using that sodium nitroxide solution, you can also detect the sulfur. Next we will go for oxidation state. Okay, that for volatile compounds. The organic compounds is fused with a mixture of sodium nitrate and sodium carbonate. The sulfur present is oxidized to sodium sulfate, and the fused mass is extracted with water and acidified with hydrochloric acid. Then we have to add the barium chloride solution, and then what will happen to this acidified extract of the sodium extract? Okay, you will get sodium sulfate. You know, if there is sulfate, definitely barium will combine with this sulfate forming barium sulfate, and barium sulfate is insoluble in HCl. That will indicate that there will be the presence of the sulfur. Okay, in case of organic compound. So by barium chloride test, you can also confirm the presence of sulfur. Okay, in case of generally in case of volatile compound. Okay, that time whenever you will apply heat, that sulfur may be volatile. Okay, you will not get that Na2S. Hope you can understand. And another thing we can tell that sodium nitrite, when you are heating, that will produce nascent oxygen. Okay, actually reaction we have to show what is happening, how sulfate is forming. So first we are taking that NaNO3. NaNO3, when you are applying heat, that will produce NaNO2 plus nascent oxygen. Okay, and this oxygen will react with this sulfur in presence of sodium carbonate. So here I think 3 required, so then there will be 3 and 3 oxygen. So 3 nascent oxygen, and here you will get Na2SO4. Na2SO4, and plus there will be carbon dioxide gas. Okay. Now this Na2SO4 will react with this barium chloride, BaCl2 plus Na2SO4. If you add HCl, okay, then it will not soluble, okay, because it will form barium sulfate, and there will be formation of NaCl, sodium chloride. Okay, so this barium sulfate is white precipitate. Okay, that will form white precipitate, and that is not soluble in HCl. Okay. Next we will discuss the detection of halogen. First we will discuss the Weierstrass test. You have to take a copper wire, okay, and you have to apply heat in Bunsen flame. And if it is giving any color, then you have to heat it continuously until it will be colorless. Okay, then you have to touch it with the organic compound, and then again you have to heat this in that copper wire and organic compound in the Bunsen flame. So a volatile copper halide will form, okay, and that will give you green or blue color to the flame. That will indicate that there is halogen. Okay, so halogen is present in organic compound. And what are the limitations of this Weierstrass test? That compounds like pyridine, urea and thiourea, which do not contain halogens, they will also respond to this test. So this is not the confirmatory test. You cannot tell that halogen is present. Okay, and it does not tell about the nature of the halogen, whether it is fluoride, bromide, iodide, they cannot tell. So here also you have to do the Lazine test. Okay, so here when you will fuse the organic compound with sodium, if there is halogen, so that will react with this sodium and forming X is halogen, forming NaX. So NaX may be NaCl, it may be NaBr, it may be NaI. Okay, anything may be possible. Okay. Now one part of this sodium extract, first you have to boil with concentrated nitric acid. Why we are boiling? Because if there is formation of sodium cyanide, that will decompose. Okay, NaNO3 and HCl will be formed. That HCl is gas that will go out from the solution, And if there is sodium sulfide Na2S, whenever you are heating with nitric acid, there will be formation of NaNO3 and H2S. Okay, hydrogen sulfide will go. So in this way, you can easily remove if there is sodium sulfide or sodium cyanide. Otherwise, whenever you add the silver nitrate, it will precipitate as silver sulfide or silver cyanide. Okay. Now, after boiling the sodium extract, okay, with concentrated nitric acid, then you have to cool it, and then silver nitrate solution is added to the acidified sodium extract solution. Okay, then if you get a white precipitate that is soluble in excess ammonium hydroxide, definitely there is chlorine is present. So what reaction is going on? Silver nitrate is reacting with NaCl, forming AgCl plus NaNO3. Now this AgCl, if you add excess ammonium hydroxide, so AgCl will react with ammonium hydroxide, forming argento-ammonium chloride, plus there will be formation of water. Okay. Now if you are getting pale yellow precipitate, okay, or sparingly soluble in ammonium hydroxide, definitely it indicates that bromine. So silver nitrate, when reacting with NaBr, forming precipitate of silver bromide, plus there will be formation of NaNO3. So this yellow precipitate will be sparingly soluble in ammonium hydroxide. That is indicating that bromine is present. Okay. And if you get the yellow color PPT, okay, and it is insoluble in ammonium hydroxide, that will indicate there is presence of iodine. So again, silver nitrate will react with sodium iodide, and there will be formation of AgI, that is insoluble in ammonium hydroxide. Okay, this is yellow color, this is pale yellow, and it is sparingly soluble in ammonium hydroxide. And this is white, Cadi white PBT. Okay, this is fully soluble in ammonium hydroxide, excess ammonium hydroxide. Hope you can understand. So in this way, we can easily detect the halogens. Okay, whether it is a chlorine, bromine, or iodine. If sulfide and cyanides, if you are not destroying, then what will happen? That sodium cyanide will react with silver cyanide, forming silver nitrate will forming silver cyanide, and sodium sulfide will react with that silver nitrate, forming silver sulfide. Okay, so that will you will not get the halide test. Okay, so that is why we are adding concentrated nitric acid to decompose it to corresponding gases. Okay, cyanide will form HCN gas and sulfide will form H2S gas. Next, another test we can do, that is the carbon disulfide test. So one part of the sodium extract, okay, is taken with a small amount of organic solvent and excess chlorine water. So if there is orange or yellow color in carbon disulfide layer, that means organic layer, it will be the orange color. Okay, definitely it indicates the presence of bromine. And if there is violet color, definitely that will indicates there will be presence of iodine. So what reaction is going on? So sodium bromide, whenever you are adding chlorine water, okay, that will form twice NaCl plus Br2. Br2, you know, this is covalent. Okay, that will be dissolved in organic solvent, non-polar. Okay, and Br2 plus in carbon disulfide, CH2. Or you can take carbon tetrachloride. This is carcinogenic, that is why we are not using. That is carbon disulfide is best. Okay, so bromine carbon sulfide, you will getting some orange color. That is indicating that bromine is present. And if you are taking NaBr plus sodium iodide and chlorine, will form twice NaCl plus I2. And in this case, carbon disulfide, that means organic layer, this will be violet color. So from here you can easily understand whether iodine is present in your sample or bromine is present in your sample. That means in the sodium extract of this Lagrange test. Okay, and next we will go to the Lagrange test over. Next we will discuss the other two non-metals like phosphorus or metals. Okay, so phosphorus, how do we take? The organic sample you have to fuse with mixture of sodium carbonate and potassium nitrate. So phosphorus, whatever is present, okay, that will be oxidized to phosphate, and the residue will be extracted with water and boiled with some nitric acid, and then finally you have to add the ammonium molybdate solution. So whenever you will add the ammonium molybdate, you will get that a canary yellow precipitate. Okay, whenever you are adding this ammonium molybdate, then phosphoammonium molybdate will be formed. Okay, so this canary yellow precipitate, okay, is indicate, okay, or indicates the presence of the phosphorus. Okay, if canary yellow precipitate is not coming, it is not indicating that phosphorus is present. If it is coming, definitely phosphorus is present. Okay, and another thing is there in your syllabus, that is the metal. Suppose in your compound metal is present, so then what you have to do, you have to take this organic sample in a platinum crucible, okay, and you have to apply heat strongly. If any metal is present, the organic compound, okay, definitely it is incombustible, and you will get a residue left behind, and the residue will be extracted with dilute acid, okay, and the solution is tested for the presence of metallic radical. Actually, whenever it will react with this acid, definitely you will form the corresponding radical, that means basic radical, and there will be formation of salt. Okay, and generally what we are doing, that the analysis of the basic radical of the inorganic sample, that you have to do, and this way you can easily detect that metal is present or not. Hope you can understand. So in this way we have discussed the analysis of organic compounds qualitatively, okay, and of different detection of different elements. Okay, hope you can understand. If you have any question, you can ask me question in live class, or you can send your queries to your school query button. Okay, so today up to this, thank you.